everybody, and welcome to the Week 9 edition of Coach's Night Out. Of course, we're live at Town Square Social on Lebanon's Public Square, 145 Public Square to be exact, and the good folks at Town Square Social also have opened right across the corner here, Cedar City Brewing Company at 112 Public Square. Town Square Social is open for lunch and dinner 7 days a week, and they also do catering. My sponsors for this show, as always, and we do appreciate it, Advantage Roofing Contractors, LLC, Donnie Self and Rob Painter, Daryl Tidwell, loan originator with Southern Bank of Tennessee, the Salas Realty Group, 120 Public Square, Lebanon, THW Insurance Services, LLC, Cumberland University Athletics, and DT McCall and Sons, Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Franklin, Cookeville, home of free delivery. Week 9, October the 13th. A lot going on. Lebanon at Mount Juliet, York Institute at Friendship Christian, Laverne at Green Hill, Gallatin at Wilson Central, Grundy County at Watertown, and Glencliff at Mount Juliet Christian Academy. It's homecoming for the Saints at Mount Juliet Christian Academy. Coach's Night Out airs live on 3 Facebook platforms, including the Wilson Post, Main Street Preps, Blue Devil Broadcasting. You can also find this show on Twitter, now known as X, at TB Sports 5 and on the Main Street Media TV app. It ought to be working fine on Twitter, X. I got logged out of my own account somehow earlier this week, and it took about 3 days to figure out how to get back in there. But it's up, running. My first guest for the Week 9 show, as always, Chuck Gentry, head coach of the Blue Devils. Were you able to take a little time last week, or did you get back into some football things?
Well, I guess I took time, but I watched a lot of film and did a lot of thinking and some self scouting and some things like that. But I was able to go with Sabre and take Aggie to school a little bit, pick Aggie up from school. Went and spent a little time at the graveyard in Smith County with my parents and all my people. So, and then, for the most part got to be daddy on Friday night and watch Ella be a cheerleader. And
how is Gainesboro this time of year?
Wonderful weather down there on the river. And, the cheerleading was good. I thought she did well, but no, it wasn't bad. And then, Saturday I got to, me and Sabre and the little one, we, came to homecoming for half of it at Cumberland, and
okay.
then we went to Gordonsville for a junior pro football game. Got to be cheerleader daddy over there. So for the most part, did the dad stuff and husband stuff and a couple of honeydews and things that I needed to get done. But Lebanon football was always on my mind and things that we needed to do and shoulda, coulda, wouldas and all that stuff.
Oh, I've talked with all the coaches in the county. And the week off really is a good thing for everybody.
It is. It's good if it can be bad if it's handled wrong. But the kids enjoy it. Our kids have a little bounce in their step when they come back Monday. They were good attendance, ready to get back into it and into the grind. They actually act like they was happy to see us and stuff. So everybody needs we all like chocolate pie, but you can get too much chocolate pie, and football is the same way. Everybody loves it. I love it, but you can get too much of it, and you need a break from it sometimes.
You got some awfully good news from the TSSAA last week. Isaiah Mariah cleared to play against Mount Juliet.
Yes, he told me after it happened, he's, Coach, I promise, I swear. And I said, well, you better hope so. Just so happened, we had 2 drone shots, 2 end zone shot, 2 film crews, and then their NFHS network. So we were able to piece together some good footage, and Coach Angel did a good job of being able to show the play, blow it up, slow it down, and he didn't throw a punch, and we're glad that got overturned and glad that he'll be able to play.
He's a young man who the last couple of 3 games has really been doing some good things.
Yeah, Isaiah does a lot for us. He's very athletic. very smart young man. Plays in the secondary. He can play any position in the secondary. Plays quarterback, plays some wide receiver, running back, whatever we ask him to do, and just a team player. And kind of a squirrel out there. He's just happy to be out there running around, and will do anything we ask him to. I tell him sometimes calm down, but he was very, very proud of the way he acted the other night during that situation, because it could have been bad, but shows his character and what he was. He worries more about the team than he does himself, and very proud of him for that. And he was very, very happy to get that overturned.
Lebanon and Mount Juliet Friday night, Roger Perry Field, Mel Brown Athletic Complex, 7 o'clock kickoff. Mount Juliet's got a lot of activities involved. They've got an alumni event where they've invited back former players. They're celebrating 100 years of Mount Juliet football. It's a region game, and really, Lebanon can take a big step in the region with a win against the Bears.
Yeah, as you go to different stadiums and things, they're set up differently, and Mount Juliet has a really good setup to make it a really good atmosphere. No track, the stands are right there on you, right behind you, kind of down in a little hole, and the bleachers are two sections there, and it makes a good venue. And then all the stuff that they got going on, and then like you said, it is a big thing in the region, because with a win they can pretty much guarantee themselves a portion of the region championship, and then hopefully with a win for us, that could put us in contention for part of it too. So a lot of football to be played these last 3 weeks, but this is definitely a big game. And I told our kids, we've got a lot of scenarios. There's a lot of different things, but the good thing about it is we get the opportunity to go play a good team with a lot of stuff going on. And for a high school football kid, that's what you want. You want to be able to play in big games that mean something and stuff. And so I told them this is what you want. There'll be a big crowd there because all the stuff they got going on. We travel well. It's Lebanon, Mount Juliet. I don't think I need to say much more. And and I think our kids understand the magnitude of it and what it is. But all in all, it's just another football game.
Mount Juliet presents what I think is the best 1-2 punch at running back that I've seen in several years. You've got Harrison Edwards and John Michael Crudup, two guys who have combined for 1,300 yards rushing and 22 touchdowns, and it really doesn't matter who's in the game for them.
No, it's like I said, it's a good 1-2 punch. Speed. I told a couple of our kids, I got some keys for you, keys to a moped, so we can get on and try to catch you. And then Crudup is, it's got some wiggle to him. He got some speed and some power. And then, like you say, it's a good 1-2 punch that they hit you with different things. Sometimes they're on the field together, and it's just two really good high school running backs that are just juniors.
Speaking of juniors, their quarterback, Tyler Travers, is a junior. Got the job last year, has continued to progress, and they really like him.
Yeah, I mean, he played a good game against us last year and threw the ball for several yards against us last year. He's grown in maturity, and you can see it on film, and gotten better and better as he goes, and he runs their offense well, with the post-snap RPOs, pre-snap RPOs, and he's got a cannon on him. Plus, he can run some zone read, pull it, keep it out the back door, and some things. Which you got two good running backs, and then a quarterback that can spread it around and is efficient and everything else. And then before you say it, I'll say it: 5 big guys up front, blocking for him with some size and some nasty, and it makes a good recipe for a hard road to hold for us to try to defend them. And there's a reason they're 7-0 and ranked really high.
And I would imagine getting off blocks, filling the gaps, being where you're supposed to be, has got to be a key for Lebanon's defensive front.
Well, alignment and assignment is always big. whatever we call, Coach Fry calls, several different ways that we do things, but you can line up right or you can line up wrong. If you line up wrong, if 10 line up right and one lines up wrong, we're in trouble. So we have to get that communicated and do stuff. But when it comes down to it, blocking and tackling, as far back as when they invented this game, that's what it's about, blocking and tackling. And I guarantee you, Coach Perry and his staff, when they draw it up, they don't say, well, we're not going to block these couple. We're just going to block these guys. There's going to be one person with the ball, and 10 of them others are going to be blocked. And that's the way football works. It's the X's and O's, and you try to get the mismatches and the things and the angles and all that stuff. But to make a long story short, somebody has got to defeat a block and make a play. Or somebody's got to make a block, open up some lanes, and to hit it. And that's what we try to tell our kids. It's a continuous battle after battle after battle. And you're going to win some and you're going to lose some. But you can't let the first one affect the second one, and the second one affect the third one, and the third one affect, and it snowball, or you got to snap and clear, line up, go back at it again. Every football game, people make plays. Every football game, other people make plays. And the momentum, you just can't let it build. And getting off blocks, running to the football, getting a lot of hats to the football, with their offense, keeping contained, keeping coverage, leverage, different things, just makes it much more magnified, especially when you got the two backs that they're going to hand it to, 70% of the time. That, all right, them cats can go.
A couple of names come to mind defensively for Mount Juliet. Zerniak, number 45, the inside linebacker, and number 9, Fiorita, and I've worked on getting those names right for this week. Both those guys have had big weeks. I know Fiorita, playing at defensive end, had 11 tackles and maybe 6 sacks against Antioch. I mean, those are guys that you've got to be aware of where they're lining up.
Well, yes, 45 is a good linebacker. Seems like he's been playing for 7 years. But when you look at him, he's a kid that's smart. He looks like he's in control and in charge on their defense. Looks like he's been in that buried in a little bit and had been in the weight room, and he can run and hit you. And like you said, it will get off blocks. If he's blocked, he doesn't stay blocked. And then the other kid, number 9, I'll just call him. I won't butcher his name, but he's played well. But against Antioch, he really turned it up. And when there was a chance for him to make plays, he made them and really affected that ball game. And of course, we know how good that quarterback is and affected him. And so, you got to know where those two are. But there's others. Number 14, is our devil there, whatever they call him, star or whatever. Yeah. But he's their plugger, and he goes and fixes their secondary coverage. And then they got 2 really good corners, 2 really good safeties, 3 other good defensive linemen, and another good linebacker. So not a lot of holes and a lot of places that you say, hey, all right, maybe we should attack there or should attack there. Good sound defense, fundamentally sound. They get off blocks, they run to the football. Not a lot of instances where they're misaligned. I mean, you can see the hand signals and the talking, and we preach communication all the time. You can see them doing that on the film and communicating with each other, making sure that where I'm doing this, you're doing that, we're on the same page. And so it's not you don't see wrong coverages, you don't see them misaligned, you don't see them in the wrong gaps and that stuff. So it's one of those things where you have to earn it, and you have to line up and block them and make it makes it hard. And then one step further, let's just say they're kicking off. He's probably going to kick it up on that hill or down the hill, one of the two, whichever way you're kicking, and you're going to have to go 80, and that makes it hard when you look at it. Hopefully we can get a good return. That's something we pride ourselves in with special teams and stuff like that. But
if they're kicking in the end zone,
when he's kicking it 9 yards deep, it is not going to happen. So that a weapon there, and then when we're kicking off, then all right, which one of them cats back there do you want to kick it to? Every one of them, it seems that if you don't kick it in the end zone, all right, they're returning it 35, 40, 50, 60 yards. So, just you can tell, really well-coached football team, good football players that do what they're coached, play with some pride, and expect to win.
The last 2 years, Lebanon won those games against Mount Juliet. It had been maybe 11 years previous that Mount Juliet had won every one of them. This game obviously means something to your kids. They know what this is, and Trey Perry will be on here in the third segment. He's been preaching this week about how much this game means to his football program.
Yeah, it's I told our kids this afternoon, I don't care what people say. When you're old, you're going to remember this game. Win, lose, or draw, you're going to remember it. It's up to you. It's in your hands.
Yeah.
How you and I said, you ask me, I can take you back to my high school senior year. I can tell you all 10 of them. Win, lose, or draw. Good, bad, and ugly. Also, take you back almost every year that I played football and tell you that. You don't forget them. You relive them. You think about them. You think about when you meet your old buddies and you talk about the 70s, y'all talk about certain things, certain plays, certain games, everything. You are going to talk about those for the rest of your life. You may be sitting in the nursing home in the wheelchair and say, hey, back in 2023, we were playing Mount Juliet and then we run the jet sweep and I fumbled or I missed my block or I took it to the house. You remember that stuff. Of course, guys always get better as they go, but you can't change history.
Yeah.
The win-loss record is going to be there, and it's that way for both teams. All in all, it's a good rivalry, but their staff wants to win. Our staff wants to win. Their kids want to win. We want to win. But it's going to come down to who executes the best, who, pulls the right strings at the right time and all that stuff. But it is a game that very important to both programs. When you live in Wilson County, I'm not from Wilson County. I wasn't born here. I've been here a while. But from day one, when I stepped foot on Lebanon High School, I knew how much this game meant. And, for a long time, they were the measuring stick, probably still are. And, it's important to our kids to say, hey, how do we size up? And again, very important in my eyes that we broke that streak 2 years ago and that this group says, all right, maybe things have changed. Maybe they haven't. Who knows? But we do have the confidence now. Our kids walk into, they're not going to walk into Mount Juliet Stadium, Roger Perry, whatever it is, and say, we're playing Mount Juliet. We're going to get off the bus with the mindset, hey, we're here to win and do that. And that is half the battle. And so, I'm sure his group's going to do the same thing when they come out. Hey, we're here to protect our home field and do that. And that's what makes this stuff fun. And, like I say, we draw the line at 109 and we'll cross it and we'll come home winners or losers and suit it up again next week no matter what. But it makes it fun. There'll be a little more excitement in the air, a little more because it is fun. And, our players was telling me Coach, we've been talking to each other on Snapchat, Instagram, whatever it is they do these days. I can't keep up, but and they said they're gonna do this and we're gonna do that, and I'm like, well, y'all just make sure it's all friendly. And there's a lot
of respect between the two coaching staffs. I know that for a fact.
It is, this summer, I put it out there that Coach Perry and his staff did one of the, most respectful things that I've ever been a part of in football. And, we have a lot of respect. And we know on Friday night at 7 o'clock, me and him are a lot alike in certain ways. We're very competitive.
Yeah.
And he wants to win and I want to win. But at the end of the day, we're going to walk across there and shake hands and say good job. And we talk. And when I get off here in two or 3 minutes, I'm going to ask him a favor about an end zone shot for Friday night to help us out. And I'm almost 100%. He'll say, yeah, whatever we need to do. But it's good, and in the county, we all try to get along and do that. But, for him to get his program and keep it where he wants it, he's got to beat Lebanon. And for me to get ours where we need to be and keep it where I want it, we have to beat Mount Juliet. And so you only get one shot a year. It starts at 7 and it'll be over when it's over. But, for a year, we'll talk about it. And so, that's what makes it fun and exciting and all the ifs and buts. But, it's one of the reasons that I told my mama, I don't know if I'll ever grow up because this is so much fun. Stressful, but fun.
Family Medical Associates in Pediatrics provides the funding to allow Shop Springs Creamery to be the official chocolate milk of Lebanon Blue Devil football. And team meals go on. We put this show together on Wednesday. Thursday, Emmanuel Baptist Student Ministry will feed the football team. And on Friday, Corky Cross, State Farm, class of 1975, number 9 in your program, former quarterback for the Blue Devils, will be providing the meal. And again, so much thanks to those folks for helping feed those kids.
Family Medical, the chocolate milk's awesome from Shop Springs Creamery. Emmanuel Baptist Church has been with us for 7 years and does above and beyond, and we thank them. And then Corky Cross has been here for 7 years. I know he's one of your buddies. I ask him every year if he's got 1 or 2 plays in him, and he laughs. And I think he ponders it a little bit. And
he could run it. Now, he couldn't throw it from here to that wall, but Corky could run it.
But we do appreciate them, and our kids do that. That's one of the most common questions I get: who's feeding us this week, and what are we eating? And like I say, I know. I think Thursday night is Saki, and Friday is Wits, but they'll be fired up. How much yum sauce can we get? And then Wits. Last year Wits was our favorite because every time we ate Wits, we won. So hopefully they'll bring us some luck Friday.
Chuck, best of luck to you and the Blue Devils. Thanks for the visit as always.
Thank you, Tommy. See you Friday.
Chuck Gentry, head coach of Lebanon High School, with us on segment 1 of week 9, Coach's Night Out. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. Our second segment of Coach's Night Out live from Town Square Social. Of course, our sponsors, as always, Advantage Roofing Contractors, LLC, Donnie Self and Rob Painter. Daryl Tidwell, loan originator with Southern Bank of Tennessee, the Salas Realty Group, 120 Public Square, Lebanon, THW Insurance Service, LLC, Cumberland University Athletics, and DT McCall and Son, Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Franklin, and Cookeville, home of free delivery. Tim Mathis, head coach at Cumberland University, with me here. Homecoming's a lot of fun when you win a football game, isn't it?
It makes it a lot better. It does.
21-17, the win over the University of the Cumberlands, and kind of a rock'em sock'em football game. You had control early. There was a mistake late that gave the University of the Cumberlands a chance to go ahead in that game, but the Phoenix had an answer, and that was Traylon Shepard going 76 for a touchdown.
We did, and you know, and after you watch, as you watch the film, and too, we left a lot of points on the field too. We missed two definite. If we just hit the throws, two definite long touchdown throws that we got to connect on. We just keep throwing them, and things will happen. We dropped the pick six that they call the intentional grounding calls on that Aaron Davis, if he just catches that, he goes into. So we had a chance to score a bunch more points, but I was proud of our kids just kept battling and nobody got down when we had the punt blocked and they went up and all that. It was just all right. Let's go back to work. We didn't know it was going to be the next play, but
the punt block was it a missed assignment or did they just make a play?
It was missed. It was missed assignments. Decided to change a blocking scheme up on the run, which we shouldn't have done, and kids didn't go to the right spot. So it was really necessarily wasn't on them. We called something that they weren't used to doing, and it cost us. And so, but there was no. The good thing is with our kids, there was just no panic. It was just let's go to work. We felt good about what we were doing. We just ready to go with it, and kind of after we scored, we got the ball right. Defense just played unbelievable, and I think we got the ball with 5:39 left and gave it back to them with 20 seconds left on the 8 or 9 yard line. So, we took care of the game at that point.
Defensively, your safety, Taylor, help me with his first name. Derek Taylor from Greenbrier, 2 interceptions. He was the Tennessee Sports Writers Association Defensive Player of the Week for the entire state of Tennessee. A couple of big plays by Derek Taylor.
Really big plays, and it was a couple of plays where he just more or less in that safety role was just playing center field and just broke on the ball and made 2 great plays. And the second one, I thought there for a second that he might take it to the house, but they're really big plays for us, and he makes good plays on that. But it was also a credit to those guys up front because they were making the quarterback run around and panic and probably throw the ball where he shouldn't have.
And playing back there in the secondary is a tough way to go. I mean, it is a tough job back there. Many times you're on an island. Derek, being the safety, though, can be the center fielder, react to the football, and that's what he's done his whole football career. Right. He's a redshirt freshman, was a star at Greenbrier, was at Tennessee as a preferred walk-on, was a big part of their scout team, and now he's making plays that matter. 3 interceptions in 2 games, 2 against the Patriots.
It's a tough, playing in secondary period is tough, especially with the way offenses are nowadays. They're throwing all over the place, and you do get put on islands, and you get beat more times than probably you make plays. But it's a mentality you got to have there. Is you just forget the next play and play it. But he has great ball skills and he has great instincts, and that that helps a whole bunch at safety.
And he has earned his spot back there, being a new guy to work his way in there. He's made progress as the season from the preseason on.
He is night and day from where he was when he got to us, and he has earned his way. He wasn't running with our first guys when he got there, but he's definitely earned his way into the team, and he's
he's just a super young man too. He's a really good young man, and he's gotten night and day better from game one to our past game.
You had three backs, three different guys carry the football, and they wound up with 305 yards rushing. Your quarterback, Shepard, and Nick Burge. What a statement that is for the way that your offensive front blocked for those guys.
It is, and again, it's not knocking, but we still haven't played really, really well up there yet. There's still, some mistakes are happening, but the one good thing about it that I always stress about is play full speed. If you screw up, something good might happen anyway if you just play full speed. And we haven't had that game yet where we've really played great up front. But they you can't have that much rushing if those guys aren't doing what they're doing. I don't care how good your runners are. You've got to make running lanes, and that they are doing a better job. And they're just each week they're getting better and better and better, and they're gelling more as a unit. And it's just fun to watch and see how they've come into their own. And it's really a young bunch, other than Brody Hall and Preston Cresswell. All the other guys are extremely, extremely young, and it's just fun to watch them, mature into who they are and what we're doing as a team, because it's tough to stop a team when you got three guys and it ends up being – it's not like we have one guy that's rushing for 160 and nobody else is doing anything. It's a three-headed monster. It's, we're comfortable, and he's just coming back off injury. We're not – no doubt about it. We'll put Tim Pinnell in there as a running back too, and just do just as well. So it really does, kind of back to your point, those guys up front really matter, because at times it doesn't matter who we have back there, it's working.
I thought in the early stages of the football game, Tim, your offense took advantage of what the Patriots were giving you, in that you came out and you threw the ball out on the perimeter quickly. You got it out of Holloway's hands and got it out there and let your guys make some plays. And 4, 5, 6, 7 yards on a quick pass like that is like an extension of your run game.
Well, it is, and it is part of it. It's it's kind of the new age thing we're doing with the RPOs and stuff. The numbers were out there, and you got to be smart enough as somebody, and Bobby's a whole lot like I am. I want to run the ball.
Yeah.
But just don't put a square peg in a round hole when the numbers indicate you should throw it out there. And I think that we hadn't really, really shown that yet, and we kind of added it more this past game to do that. But it opens up the run game, because you can't put everybody out there. I got to put somebody else out there. When they do that, okay, we're running the ball now. So it's kind of the way the new age offenses are, is kind of a no-win situation. If the numbers dictate we're going to throw the ball, we're throwing it. Then the good thing that Luke did was, when we do that, we got to complete them. It is an extension of your run game, so you do have to complete those. And then it becomes where it's pretty tough to stop an offense when you're dictating, okay, am I going to run it? I'm going to throw it. Depends on how you line up what we're going to do.
Well, and to Holloway's credit, that kind of gets him in a flow early, doesn't it?
It really does. And, they are quick, easy throws, but quarterback throwing the ball, it's all confidence. And so when you get, those completions early, when you're in the pocket and now having to get a third down throw, and we had some of those just on some curls and things he hit, that it was probably a product of hitting those early throws that got him to those throws. So it is a big deal to get his confidence going.
And there is going to come a game, hopefully a lot of them, when he's 18 out of 25 throwing the football.
Right.
And when he has a game like that, it's going to be lights out.
It is. And like I said at the beginning of this, they were and we got – and that's what we've been doing this week. You got to keep working on them. But we missed some that should have been touchdowns that, that could have made the game wide open or whatever. And it's just a product of getting him the confidence to making those. Because like you said, if he gets on a roll where he's doing that and the run game and his ability to run the ball too, it makes it tough on a defense when your quarterback can run too, because that's a guy you usually don't account for in the run game. And it get an extra blocker or if you're reading somebody, you're not having to block that person. So it makes it a whole lot. He's a huge asset running the ball, but he's a huge asset throwing it too.
Big freshman nose for you, number 40. I've gone blank.
Joey Samples.
Again, he's banging people around up there.
He is, and he blocked. He's the one that blocked the field goal as well. He just keeps making plays, and he's doing that. He had to come in for Josh Jones, who will be back. He will finally be back this week, so you'll have them both in there at times and stuff, which is awesome. But he did a good job of just filling in, which was a big load for him because it was a rotation, and all of a sudden, as a freshman, you're having to do it all. But again, Joey's he's a super kid, comes from a great family, and his family was there. His brother was in our recruiting pavilion this weekend. He's a senior this year in high school too, so his family was up here and got to see all that. But he's just a fantastic player.
When did you know that he was going to be ready to play? Because again, a freshman.
We really didn't know because we talked about him earlier. That he played linebacker in high school, and we moved him down. But within Coach Mort, within the first couple of weeks of fall camp, Coach Mort was like, "This kid can play. He's going to be able to help us this year." And it makes you feel good that everybody that Coach Higginson is the one that said we need to move him from linebacker to. When all that comes together and it all hits all the spots, it makes you feel good. It makes you're doing right. But with all of them as freshmen, you don't really know until they come in because you can be the greatest person in the world till you get hit in the mouth, and then it's how do you react when you get hit in the mouth? A lot of people are tough until that happens. So he's just the sky's the limit for him.
Georgetown, next up on the schedule. They hung 54 on Bethel last week. Georgetown, that whole Lindsey Wilson coaching staff went over to Georgetown. It looks like they've got it figured out.
They do. That whole offensive staff went over there, and it was kind of a crazy game for them too. I think they threw 9 passes. They did complete one. It was an interception. So, they didn't even complete a pass, but they ran for a crazy amount of yards. And they are – I haven't seen Lindsey on film really yet, but I'd seen Georgetown with a couple other teams that we had played and stuff. And they are, as far as who we've played so far, they're definitely the best team I've seen on tape. And it didn't shock me that they beat Bethel. It did shock me about the point total and all that, but they're a good football team, and they're going to do what Chris. I mean, none of it's changed. It's the same thing that he does, and he's a really good coach, and he's having them going. So it's going to be a huge task for us, but hopefully we're going to be a huge task for them too.
Well, again, next game on the schedule, Mid-South Conference game, and you can do nothing but help yourself by going up there and playing well and doing, and we've talked about this forever. If Cumberland takes care of Cumberland, you'll take your chances with anybody you play.
Absolutely. That's, I said this to the radio guys Saturday night. Hopefully, when they get the game's over Saturday afternoon, that they knew they played Cumberland. We're going up there. We're not cocky or anything by that, but if we'll take care of Cumberland, we can play with anybody. We believe that. I think you have to believe that. But we're anxious to get that way because it is. Our destiny's set. If we go through this gauntlet and do well, our destiny's set. 4 out of the next 5 opponents we had were all ranked. All right, we beat one of the ranked teams. We got 3 out of 4 left, and our destiny's in front of us. It's just we got to take care of Cumberland.
With this game being on the road, and you have played at home for a good little stretch here, what does the travel look like for the Cumberland football team coming up this weekend?
We'll travel up Friday afternoon.
After you work out in Lebanon?
Yeah, we'll do our walkthrough here and eat lunch, and then we'll get on the road, and we're actually staying in Frankfort, Kentucky, which is about 30 minutes outside of Georgetown. And so get up there, eat our dinner, have our offense, defense, special teams meeting, and wake up and have a walkthrough, and then eat our pregame meal and get ready to go to Georgetown.
Again, taking care of the football, minimizing penalties, being able to strip a couple of balls out of there or pick a couple off. That's the flow you want in the game.
But, I mean, you definitely want that. And that's what, their loss, that's what happened to them. Reinhardt did that to them. And so we've seen the game plan that can do that. It's just, we have to, our defense has got to play like they've been playing. That's paramount, that they've got to play how they've been playing. And then offensively, I mean, I think anybody that's seen us play knows that. If we take care of the ball and don't have, the penalties that kill drives, we're an okay offensive team.
Yeah.
So if we take care of the ball, it's going to be a great football game. And again, it's going to be another one of those games where you better not get popcorn, because you might not see a half or something, because it looks like they don't throw the ball very much either.
Tim, thanks for the visit. Best of luck when you go on the road and play at Georgetown. Have a good week, okay?
Thank you. Go Phoenix.
Tim Mathis, head coach with Cumberland University, with us on the second segment of the Week 9 edition of Coach's Night Out. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Third and final segment of the Week 9 show of Coach's Night Out, live from Town Square Social. Let me run through my sponsors: Advantage Roofing Contractors, LLC, Donnie Self and Rob Painter; Daryl Tidwell, Loan Originator, Southern Bank of Tennessee; the Salas Realty Group, 120 Public Square, Lebanon; THW Insurance Services, LLC, Cumberland University Athletics, DT McCall and Sons, Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Franklin, and Cookeville. And I will run quickly through the schedule. Lebanon at Mount Juliet, York Institute at Friendship Christian. And if you don't know, York Institute is undefeated at 7-0. They are ranked number 1 in 2A. They're playing at Friendship, 6-1 at Pearl Field. Ought to be a whale of a game. Laverne at Green Hill, Gallatin at Wilson Central, Grundy County at Watertown, and Glencliff at Mount Juliet Christian Academy. Trey Perry, head coach at Mount Juliet, with me on this one. And I got to looking historically, Trey. 1977, I guess it was the spring of 77, when former Lebanon coach Ralph Overton and former Mount Juliet coach Hal Flatt got together and said, we're crazy for not playing. And it has been 47 consecutive years. I know that's the longest single opponent home and home series that Lebanon has. I'm sure it's that way for Mount Juliet. It made a world of sense when they weren't in the same region. It's a big payday. It's a big region game. And I know this game means something to your program and to your kids.
Just talking to Coach Mathis, I mean, when the region schedule came out this year, you know, when we had them all back in the county teams back in the same place, and then Gallatin too. You know, if you ask a Mount Juliet fan who the biggest rival is, it's going to depend on their age.
Right.
Really
the older
is.
folks are going to say Gallatin.
Yes, sir. And or Lebanon. And then you've got the mid-30s crowd that was part of the split with Wilson Central.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the teenagers of the day, maybe the one across the street. But the good part about that is you've already said it, is Gates.
Yeah.
You know, and so, and I don't know how many people kind of realize how much the funding of what we have to do in our budget relies on these gates. I can tell you this, I was probably a little bit naive until 2020. And when we got our gates cut in half, I learned a lot. And so, you know, because the helmet cost and the shoulder pad cost didn't go down any.
Helmets and shoulder pads cost way too much money because there's no competition in that industry anymore. There's only a couple of 3 helmet companies now, right?
Right. And now, I mean, the reconditioning part since the COVID thing, you know, the supply chain and trying to get them back, and that's narrowing even more, I think. But yeah, these kind of gates help.
You're having some alumni come back. You're calling this alumni night. You are inviting those former players to come back. You're celebrating 100 years of Mount Juliet football. It's a community thing for you and those people who are walking around my age now who wore black and gold back in the day.
Yeah, it's important. I mean, I call myself a transplant, but I've been here since 2006. But I'm continuing to learn about the history and tradition, and I enjoy that. But I feel like, and this is probably more, I'll say my fault. I feel like we haven't done enough to celebrate it. And this idea kind of came about in the summer. And, you know, we did the math on the 100 years. But, to get some people back involved, and the response has been great. And so, you know, I'm looking forward to that part Friday night, and I'm probably not going to enjoy it at all.
Right, because you're probably wound up pretty tight, and Friday is game day. I know there's going to be tailgating and groups getting together, and you're going to invite decades to come out on the field and form the tunnel. Really trying for the outreach of your program to the guys who used to play there.
It's important. I mean, you know, when we got there, Dad and I, in 2006, we tried to do research even then. You know, we knew some from the area, but learned so much over the years and neat stories by the decade. And hearing about the Mount Juliet rule when it went into effect, because the Gallatin and Mount Juliet being really good teams, and they only took one team to the playoffs during that time period, and expanded because maybe not just because of that, but probably a factor. And and some of those people that played on those teams. So, I mean, I've been in high school football my whole life, and came from a place steeped in tradition, and so it's it's exciting, and it's one of those times where I feel like we can reconnect with some of those people.
Before we get into talking about the upcoming game, a former Bear, class of 2005, Michael Jasper, is going to be inducted into the Bethel University Athletics Hall of Fame. He was a big Bear back then. I remember when he played, and what a class in 2005. You had Jasper on that team. You had Levi Brown. Both of them played professional football. And you had Alicia Clark, who's probably a better athlete than either one of those two, and she's still playing in the WNBA. Classes like that are rare.
We got there too late.
Well, if you were smart, you probably had Alicia out there catching passes.
Yeah, right. And well, I mean, she's 6th woman of the year this year in the
Yeah,
WNBA.
yeah.
She continues to just impress, and Levi's doing his thing, and
He's coaching now.
yeah, right. He married up.
Yeah,
So
right.
he went from college back to high school, but his wife's doing pretty well from what I
Right.
understand in the sports media department. And then Big Mike's done great. I mean, he really has. He's, obviously we talk from a recruiting standpoint a lot, but he's a proud alumni. Both of those guys coached with me in 2014, and obviously we're proud of him. I think our Twitter account, X account, one of our coaches runs it, and his quote was really good. He was a really great player, but even better person. So we're proud of Big Mike.
Lebanon and Mount Juliet, Friday night, Roger Perry Field, Mel Brown Athletic Complex. When you look at Lebanon, they don't have the tailback that they had previously to Sean Heath messing that knee up, but Chuck has figured out a way to distribute the football. So it's not just tailback, slot back. He's getting a lot of folks involved.
So I would say this, and it's not to take anything away from the last 2 years, but I think Lebanon's done a heck of a job coaching the football team this year. When you look at it on film, it's one thing to have an identity, but it's another thing to be able to change that with an injury or depending on your opponent, who you're playing, schematically. And I think obviously Coach Gentry, Coach Brady, Coach Fry, they do a great job with their offense, defense, special teams units. And there's two sides to look at that too. If you're looking at it from a defensive standpoint, sometimes it's more maddening to have to prepare for 3 or 4 different people, or an inside game and a perimeter game, and so what's what we see on film, and defensively, I think they've done a great job with that. They're fast. They get around the football. I mean, if you don't hunt the football, the end result usually doesn't work out very well. And you can't. I always kind of cringe at the word opportunistic when it comes to turnovers. You create turnovers. Well, you cannot create a turnover unless you run the ball. And I feel like they've done a really good job of that this year, and it's bode well in some big games for them.
When you look at some of that diversity Lebanon now has on offense, pass, run, a lot of their pass game is kind of an extension of their run game.
Yeah, I mean, the game's changed so much. You talk about Heupel and what he's doing at Tennessee because it's local, but it's defending 53 1/3 blades of grass now, So, and that's what you see on film. They get the ball out quickly, so that neutralizes pass rush to a certain extent. They're good on early downs. If you're good on early downs, you get to stay on schedule. You get to sort of dictate the tempo and how it goes. And then defensively, just the opposite. Like if you win first down, the coordinator's playbook shrinks.
Yeah.
So that's what we've seen on film. And you're right. I mean, they've distributed. They've got multiple quarterbacks that can get the job done. Which makes it tougher, but and we're both coming off a bye week. I think TSSAA did a really good job with this region schedule thing. We were nervous because usually you control that. For the first time, we did not. But when you look at how it all shook out, and I've kind of heard this across the board, I think they did a good job with it. And in this case, it's two rivals coming off a bye week and a big region game, and both of them, getting that rest that I'm sure is important, to have the kind of game that we want to have.
I know you guys like to practice early. Did you stay on schedule Monday, Tuesday? Today's Wednesday.
We did. We stayed early. Practiced Monday and Tuesday of last week. Stayed early on those days. Now, there's a lot of dew on the grass that we still hadn't gotten figured out yet. But other than that, I think our kids they respond well to that. Matter of fact, there's been times we've tried to say, let's move this to the afternoon. Darkness or whatever the case may be. They want to stay there. So, and I'm big on routine myself anyway. But they've handled that part well. Now, I'll go back to COVID and say that since that time, I don't think, this is across the board. This is not a Mount Jewett thing. This is high school football in general. I don't think attendance has been what it needs to be. I talk about injury prevention all the time. Prehab better than rehab. Well, you got to be there to be evaluated and go through those kind of things and be conditioned to be able to play a 48-minute game. And so that's all relative, but for the most part, we did a good job getting to practice.
When people look at Mount Juliet's football team on the offensive side, your tailback tandem, you got two guys, Edwards and Crudup, who have combined for 1,300 yards back there. It doesn't matter if number 2 or number 4 is getting the football. You're getting about the same result.
And they've done a good job. Our motto this year is We 23, and we like to not joke, but re-emphasize every once in a while that we don't get our W turned upside down. No me guys. And I think it's a testament to them that they understand that in the flow of our offense, and they go beyond the F position too. Like we'll get them in the slot, we'll put them out wide some too, and that's kind of a matchup problem.
John Michael's got several receptions.
Yes, sir. And and if you get them on the field at the same time in certain cases, then we feel like that's a little bit tougher to defend. But they both do a good job in the block game too. Like if we have to insert them into that, with a quarterback run or one of our slot guys, they do a good job for that. They block for each other sometimes. Proud of them. They continue to progress, and obviously excited about having them back another year.
Travers has developed from the time he got on the field as a sophomore to now. Kid's doing a great job for you, quarterback.
He is. He leads by example. I know that sounds cliched, but he the way we run our offense, we go fast, and that's not that position is the toughest one already. But when you add the element of wanting to get the ball snapped, there's a lot, and he handles it. And obviously that means there's preparation and study that goes into that. He understands where we're at as far as our balance. I know I talk about it all the time, but I'm not just talking about run pass. I'm talking about inside outside run. I'm talking about throwing it quick, taking shots when we need to, reading through a progression. And I feel like he's really made some significant strides in that area this year. And I'm proud of him. I think he's done a great job. I think he's got more room to grow, and I think he'd be the first one to tell you that, and that's exciting.
You got two coordinators who played for you, and there has to be a certain comfort level with that. Colt Carver on offense, Chase Howland defense. They know you and they know what you want, and there's got to be great communication amongst the three of you.
I couldn't be more proud of the two of them. I feel like it's important to know scheme. It really is, and they've grown tremendously over the last couple of years in that area. But you also have to be relational. I want to be – I don't really want to be, but it's necessary for me to be the bad cop sometimes with players, and they're there to pick them up. And just this past 2 weeks, I mean, we feel like Lebanon's a really good football team, so obviously we're going to prepare for a really good football team, and they've done a good job with their homework. I mean, it's impressive the amount of film study that they've done, and I don't know what that amounts to on Friday night. You still got to kick the thing off and go play. But I don't think you have to be an alumni of a school to coach there and have pride there. I'm not currently, but I think the two of them, there's that extra motivation there for them, and they've done a great job.
When you mentioned kick it off, and your kicking game is solid.
Varia. It took me a
Echeverria.
while too.
Echeverria. When he kicks it off, the other team's usually got to go 80.
He's had a really good jump from his sophomore to junior year. And honestly, because we had a weapon in Mark Shanuda last year that went to Memphis, but his punting has become, of course, I don't ever want to see him out there doing that, but when he has to,
Yeah.
it's gotten a lot better too. He hit a 50-yard field goal against Antioch that I think would have been good from a little farther. And then he had a clutch field goal against Cookville before the half that was in the 40-something range. But in high school football, I think accuracy is far underrated. Like, if a guy can hit 1 out of 10 from 45, how many times are you doing that anyway? You know, but be consistent from 35 to 42 yards. Give us that consistency, knowing that we're going to get points out of that drive, and we feel like he's that way.
Well, and some coaches, they say, well, we're not going to kick it. We're going to go for it. But you got a guy you can trust, and you don't mind going and send him out there and sending your kick team to go put one up there.
Right, and you mentioned it earlier. The rules, as long as the rule stays the rule, when you kick the ball in the end zone on the kickoff, the other team starts at the 20. And when they start at the 20, every percentage I've ever looked at says it's a little bit tougher to score from there, even from the 30 or 35-yard line. It's amazing how drastically those percentages change. So now we still got to cover, you know, and because he's 111th on that unit, but he's been a big. I said it last week. We gave him Special Teams Player of the Week inside our own team, and I said it's hard to not do that when a kid hits 50-yard field goal, punts like he does, and puts them all in the end zone. Like, it is extremely important.
Well, I want to say thank you, Zach Tompkins. Of course, we do the radio for the Lebanon broadcast. I've been in communication with Zach, and I know there's going to be a world of folks covering this game. He's got us a spot. They're taking care of us. We've never been mistreated at Mount Juliet High School, and we can't say that everywhere we go, Beach. But, and as I talked to Chuck, big rivals, you want to win like crazy, but there's a world of respect between the two coaching staffs.
Absolutely. I mean, and for you and what you do too, because I say it a lot of times. I mean, we're in a situation where, and I'm not complaining, but there's just not a lot of coverage in the city of Mount Juliet right now. And you guys in Main Street Preps, I mean, we get that, you know, and I won't step too far in it, but I feel like that there's some outlets that chase individuals and certain schools more than they do teams.
Yeah.
And my late great buddy Donovan Stewart, one of the things that I was so enamored by with him was he cared as much about Lake County as he did Mount Juliet or Lebanon.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's getting lost a little bit. So I appreciate people like you and Main Street, and there's others out there too that still value covering teams and not just individuals. And I understand what gets clicks, but also understand what high school football means in the greater part of the community, and I think that's important, and I hope it doesn't get lost.
Thanks for the visit. I appreciate
Yes,
it.
sir.
Always good to see you.
Thank you.
Trey Perry, head coach at Mount Juliet, with us in advance of the Lebanon-Mount Juliet game at Roger Perry Field on Friday night. Get there early if you want to get a good parking place. I'm telling you right now, you can go to gofan.co, get your tickets in advance. You don't have to worry about buying tickets at the gate. Get those, get on in there. Thanks for the visit. We appreciate it. We had about 1,800 views of last week's show. It's this thing has just gone nuts, and I appreciate it. Justin behind the camera. We've got good folks here working for us at Town Square Social. Thanks to Cody and Kyle for making this space available. We appreciate it. For everybody here, I'm Tommy Bryan. I'll talk to you later.